How can I say no to a job when I need the money? Welcome to You Asked, our short form podcast where we answer questions that you have submitted. If you would like to submit a question, head over to howtofilmweddings.com/survey today, fill out the quick survey, and who knows, maybe we will read your question on the air. So today's question comes from Jose Cardenas of Milestone of Love. Thank you for the question. How can I say no to a job when I need the money? So first thing I really wanted to say is you really have to know your current situation, and it isn't wrong to take a job if you need the money. You don't have to listen to other wedding filmmakers, but if you need the job, you need the money. There's nothing wrong with saying yes to a job that you don't absolutely want to take. It can pay the bills. It doesn't have to be a portfolio piece. It can help get you through a hard time. There's nothing wrong with that. But our goal isn't to continue to take weddings like that. So the first step I would say is to know your numbers. And when I say that, you need to know how many weddings you really are capable of doing in a year, realistically, not, pie in the sky, but realistically, what's your max capacity? How many weddings you can shoot and edit and still feel like a human being. The number two thing about knowing your numbers is you need to know your baseline to survive. At the very bottom line, how much money do you need in your bank account throughout the year to pay for your bills, to cover your kids, food, diapers, whatever it is that's your current situation. So we need to know how many weddings and how much is our baseline of what we need, not what we want to make, but if we make this, we will have $0 at the end of the year, but we will have eaten, we will have had shelter, we will have had, clothes, that sort of a thing. So you got to know your numbers. And then after you reach those numbers, let's say your number is $60,000 a year and you've got $62,000 of bookings, that's when you can get a little more stingy with saying yes or no. You can raise your prices. If you don't know how many weddings you want to book and you don't know that baseline, you don't know that you can be stingy. You don't know that you can have a little more confidence because you know that your bills are met. So knowing those numbers, and the other side of it too is how many weddings do you already have booked? If you know that 20 is your max capacity and that $60,000 is how much you need to make, you need to be charging $3,000 per wedding to hit those goals. And so just knowing those numbers help you a lot. And so let's say you've already got 14, 15 weddings booked and you already have your, 60,000 that you need. This gives you a lot more leverage to say, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to take that wedding. So when we say, how do we say no to a job when you need the money? First of all, you need to know whether or not you need that money. And so I just wanted to make sure you know your numbers, you know how many weddings you want to do in a year, you know your baseline, and then after that, you can get a little stingy. So if you're in a position though, where you don't have those numbers met yet, and you're worried about making ends meet, a couple of things. You can say yes to the job. There's nothing wrong with saying yes to the job, but that will take a toll on you emotionally, your energy to edit that film, to go shoot that film. You're going away from your family. So you've got to weigh that toll versus maybe picking up some part-time work, second shooting for somebody else or editing for somebody else or, Uber or Uber Eats or whatever, DoorDash, Starbucks, go get a job part-time somewhere on top of things. It might just be for a year or two, but if you know that the dollars are taken care of, it helps you to be confident to say no when you absolutely know you should be saying no to a couple. So those are some of the mindset things. If you're backlogged, if you have too many weddings, you're not able to focus on work that you really love. And so if you've said yes too many times, you might have 10 weddings in backlog and you get the wedding of your dreams and either you've said yes and already booked out the date, or you say you've already said yes to so many other weddings that you're not going to be able to edit that wedding for 10 months or something. And so saying yes to weddings, even though you shouldn't, can pay you can pay a toll for that if you're not careful. So you have to know those numbers. You have to know your baseline. So moving to the second half of this short podcast, how do we actually say no, though, when we know that we shouldn't do the job, right? How do we say no? And for me, this is you have to be very careful, because you don't want to just be like, sorry, I don't want to do your wedding because I don't like you, or I don't want to do your wedding. You don't seem like my ideal client. That's not going to fly well. You're going to get a bad review. So in other words, I try to change the mindset around it, and I always put it back on the couple and help them realize that I'm the wrong fit, and I'm not going to be able to serve them as well, and that there are many other wedding filmmakers that would be a better fit. And I try to communicate in a way that I'm actually stealing them from somebody that would fit them even better. And so if it's somebody that it just really, maybe it's just not the style, maybe for me, like, I don't want to do a wedding if the groom isn't really involved or wanting to be involved, or one of the partners basically is just, I'm just here, or if there's no chemistry, or if it's only all about the money or things like that. And so I'm picking up on these cues when we're talking and things like that. And so after I chat with them, it might be something where it sounds a little like this. Like, after chatting with you and what you're looking for, I honestly don't think I'm going to be able to provide that for you in the way that you want. I focus more on X, but I would love to connect you with a couple of wedding filmmakers that I think could really be the right fit. So I try to basically communicate to them that, like, after chatting with them, I'm realizing what they're looking for is not something that I think I can do at the level that they need to be happy. And I do it in a way that's like, this is great that you want this. This is just not the type of thing that I provide typically. And I don't want to steal you from somebody that is going to just absolutely lose their stuff because they're so excited to work with you. And here are a couple of people that I think actually fit that bill for you. Like, a lot of times, people, if they want something that's super trendy and hip, and like, that's not my style. I want something that's a little more timeless and luxurious and nostalgic. And so I might say, hey, I focus on this stuff. What I'm realizing is that you're wanting that stuff. And my friend over here does the more hip and fun and whatever. I think you'll be happier here, and I don't want to steal you from them, and I don't want to steal you from working with someone with your one wedding that you're absolutely going to love that wedding film. So I'm going to have to decline, but I would love to give you a couple of references on people I think might be a good fit. So if you're just saying yes to everyone, you could be stealing bookings from their actual ideal buyer. And this is not easy. You need to take it slow and come from a place of empathy. And lastly, I would say you still might upset people, and that's okay. Like, if you've done your job to be empathetic and to be kind and to try to reason with people and let them see where you're coming from, I think that you can only set the boundaries that you can set. And if somebody wants to be frustrated with you about that, then that's on them. Obviously, we want to be kind to people. As I've progressed in my business a little bit longer, a little bit further, I've gotten okay with communicating that I don't feel like I'm the right fit. And I don't care if I get a bad review. I'm not trying to get a bad review or get them mad at me. But usually with a quick conversation or an email, I can let them know why. And I think that that's really important. So if you're having trouble saying no to a job when you need the money, remember to know those numbers, know whether or not you actually need the job. Maybe consider some part-time work if you're in a cash slump or a cash gap, or you have a cash flow issue. And then really put the focus back on them and serving them best by actually not filming their wedding. So hopefully this was helpful. I'm really digging these shorter form episodes. I know Nick is really enjoying them as well. One thing that we ask is, if you do like these episodes, we'll keep doing them. Just head over, take 2 seconds, go over to How to Film Weddings on Instagram, send me a DM and just said, I just listened to your episode and I really appreciated it, or tell me what you think about it. And we just love hearing from you. And then lastly, I just want to remind you that if you haven't had a chance to head over to howtofilmweddings.com/outsourcing, that is the place to go to find any outsourcing help if you do find yourself backlogged. So be sure to check out howtofilmweddings.com/outsourcing. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, we'll see you.